Dear patriots and change agents, welcome to the Nigeria Leadership Series Town Hall, a proud subsidiary of the Africa Leadership Group, powered by the Tri-Africa Empowerment Foundation. Empowerment Foundation, we believe Nigeria's diversity, our cultures, ethnicities, and
Hello, Faye. No sound. Amen. God bless you all and warm greetings and welcome to today's edition of the Nigerian Leadership Series of the African Leadership Group. I'm happy today that we're able to conclude a series that we had started about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But then something happened that we couldn't do the sequence, and therefore we had to change our plans slightly. But I'm happy that today our guest that we had wanted to have 2 weeks ago is now here, hale and hearty, and ready, willing, and available to be part of the discussion. And our general theme is to rebuild Nigeria, to rebuild Nigeria. And to be honest, quite a lot of people seem to have given up or seem to giving up. Yeah, quite a lot of people seem to have given up or seem to be giving up on Nigeria. And they're feeling that maybe we are not going to be able to get it right in Nigeria. But I have no doubt that we will get it right in Nigeria. I say to people, Nigeria is only 60 years old as a forced and compelled nation. Okay, we didn't agree to come together. Some people forced us together, and they have tried to keep us together by force, by tools. And whether we like it or not, they're still manipulating the strings. There's a video that I came across that was some comments made by the former president of South Africa, a very erudite gentleman called Thabo Mbeki. Thabo Mbeki, who was prepared for that role by Nelson Mandela. And he was talking about the underpreparedness of Africa to take over what should be Africans and Africa needs. And that's one of the things we're trying to do in the African Leadership Group, to make sure that Africans take over the discourse in Africa. But then we will show that clip later on, and I want Faye to assure me that the clip is ready to be shown, and I would bring it up at that point in time. But please welcome with me our guest tonight, Mr. Yele Sowore. Are you here, my dear brother?
He's not in yet, sir.
Okay, let's go to that clip very quickly then. Let's go to that clip very quickly while we wait for him. Go to that clip very quickly and let's make some comments on it.
Three, four young people, they came to our foundation. And they said to us that they, as young people, have a problem. Because the history that we know, that history tells us one story, which that black people will always fail. We look at the history, there's a history of slavery. We are taken as slaves. There's a history of colonialism, we are colonized. There's apartheid, we are oppressed. And they say we can see the problems in the country, in South Africa now. But we are not motivated to say anything about how to solve them, because we know for a fact that we will fail. If you look at South Africa, economy is in crisis. The politics is in crisis. Crime and corruption, crisis. Even our relations with the rest of the continent, crisis. There's nothing you can look at which does not say crisis, what people call Haiti. That was the first Black Republic formally constituted on the 1st of January 1804. And you know what had happened in that particular history? The African slaves stood up, rose, took up arms against slavery. They defeated the British, they defeated the Spanish, they defeated the French. The historians here will know this thing that the Americans talk about the Louisiana Purchase. Louisiana was a French colony, but in the end, the French decided to sell it to the United States. Nobody asks the question, why did the French decide to sell Louisiana to the United States, their colony? It's because their army was defeated in Haiti. They couldn't defend this territory because the French army was defeated by the African slaves in Haiti. I don't know whether they are historians here. To tell that history so that these young people can say, we didn't know our people could do that. The black slaves in Haiti was 60% first generation slaves. They were fresh out of the continent. And they decided enough of the slavery. Stood up and defeated 3 European empires. When you tell that to young black students, you mean we did that? Exactly to make the point that this inferiority complex which you inherit, including from history, is wrong. How do we defeat that sense of inferiority among our people?
How do we defeat that sense of inferiority among our people? Why are Africans feeling inferior? Why is it that wherever we go, we feel a bit inferior? Why is it that we're not able to rise up and defeat that sense of inferiority? Similar to that, I came across a lady, Abe, sent to me something about the UN. The UN that Africa is part of, all our 54 nations are members of the UN, but they refuse to give Africa a permanent seat on the UN. Okay, so there's 5 countries that have permanent seats: China, US, Britain, France, and the United Kingdom. China, the US, the United Kingdom, France, and I think some other nation, or Russia, USSR, Russia. They all have permanent seats at the UN Security Council. But even in the ones that are not permanent, about 12 or 19 others, Africa is begging to be there. We're not there. We're not on the table. We're not on the discussion at all. Yet we send members to the UN peacekeeping force and all that. And these United Nations and all that, they set it up without consulting us. They put us in the back burner. And for years, we keep going there. We keep trying to make speeches. We don't try to take our place. We don't try to be relevant. And I don't understand what is going on. And Africa, we've almost agreed among ourselves and with the world that we're second class. We're to be seen and not to be heard, and so on and so forth. And it really, really is a challenge. So I don't know why we're waiting for Yele Sowore. If anybody has any comments they would like to make concerning the thinking of Africa, how to reprogram Africa, how to replace Africa, how to ensure that we as Africans take our rightful place. If you have any comments or any suggestions or any ideas in that regard, you can raise up your hand electronically and I'll be happy to call you to make your comments. We are second class. We refuse to take our place at the table. We allow people to treat us anyhow. Our leaders are running up and down, chasing graft, chasing corruption, chasing private jets, chasing enjoyment for themselves, and leaving the real issues, out. Let me take on Mr. Samuel Dada. He has lifted up his hand. Samuel Dada, please unmute yourself and let us hear your comments. Please allow Mr. Samuel Dada to unmute, please.
Thank you very much.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Samuel Dada. What's happening? He's not joining.
Okay, right now, yes. Just almost like just now. Thank you, sir. I think you said it all that what is the problem in Africa? The problem in Africa is about greed. We have leaders that are too greedy. I read about the racial discrimination in America, that the state of California, the state of Arizona, New Mexico, and some other states, they were not part of America, even up to 1800 and something, all these battles started. But when the Chinese were coming to the gold rush in California, in America, the Chinese were treated anyhow. They work for at the train stations to make their railroads and everything. They were treated bad. And the Chinese now said, okay, let us come back and make a decision for ourselves. And let us open a village where we call a Chinese village, where we do businesses, and they started thriving through that, and they make ways for themselves without no greed, and their government support it. But in Africa, there's no country, you don't see Nigerians or you don't see Africa. We will never unite to create a village for ourselves that is meant for Nigerians, for South Africans, or for Africans as continent to build our wealth. We always about it is only one person that will decide who becomes who, even with all our PhD and everything. So I look at everything and I ask myself, and if you see in all these developed countries, we have churches everywhere. Even with the churches we have, we can't even see Africans coming together and create wealth for themselves, generational wealth, that even we have our churches All our children and people that are coming from Africa becomes there and work for us. What is so difficult for Africans that have churches to have more? I mean, to have restaurants where people can come and work, to have places where they can build their lives. But Africa is always about greed. That it is only one person that wants to have it all. So I think one of the first things that is affecting Africa is greediness. Because when I see the life of these people were being discriminated, the Chinese, the Mexicans has continually been discriminated, but they are still making you come to Los Angeles, they fool everywhere with businesses. They are there in their parliamentary. But what is the problem of Africa? Everyone want to have it all. If we're a political leader, if we're a pastor, once people are reverencing you, the only thing you can do is to make everybody be subjected to you. You subjugate everybody. And if you want to raise an eyebrow, then they'll bring you down. That is the problem of Africa. Africa is full of greediness. And I, as a person, I don't speak about racism. It is true, it exists. I face it in Italy, but I will never speak about it because the kind of treatment I've seen from black men is even worse than the white men. So I've concluded within me that we need to fight ourselves, not the white people. And everybody will come, they colonize us. Okay, they've colonized you 50 years ago. Okay, have you not grown up enough to understand that you need to come together with your own people and build your country? No. Everybody, Baba Sokwe must be the issue. Godfatherism must be the one to decide who makes who. When I hear the news that somebody make Osinbajo, the person that make Osinbajo to become vice president, was it the one that sent Osinbajo to school to study law? Why will it be because he made him to become vice president? Osinbajo cannot say, I want to become a president. What kind of system is that? So let me stop for now. Thank you, sir.
It's all right. Thank you so much. Professor Nubi, I think you had your hands up. Can you please make a quick comment? Our guest is on now, and we'll be switching over to him after your comments. Professor Nubi, please. Can you unmute him? Can you unmute him, please?
Okay. I think the question you asked, Pastor, very pertinent, and that's why do we feel inferior? How do we solve the problem of African feeling the sense of inferiority complex, whatever I found? I think that's the question you. Well,
Yes,
in the last
absolutely.
in the last few years, I've been teaching my students in the university. The Benin. And anytime I showed them, I just enter the classroom and ask them, Google the lost ancient city of Benin. Not Nigerian historian put it there. It's a Guardian newspaper, a European journalist. And it was clearly stated that Benin Empire was 4 times larger than the Chinese Empire before it was ruthlessly destroyed in 1897. So when they see the description, arithmetic, geometric, well laid out street, that Benin Empire has street light long before London had a street light. And we read it that the artifacts and the throne of the Oba of Benin is now, and thousands of mini artifacts, they are now lying in museums across Europe. Then they sit up. Oh, we are not actually we are not actually this backward. The narrative is told us, and that's why we have to go back to history. Those who encourage our government to cancel history from the curriculum, they knew what they were doing. So it's by telling our history, going back to tell this generation that Africa was a great continent made up of great nations. It's the only way we can have we can recover from this inferiority. So once we know our past, that were once great, and these people came and destroyed all we had and told lies that we are sleeping on trees. You need to sit in the bus in any train coach in England and see African child raise £1 to feed African child. That's the narrative that people the West were flaunting around the world to still make you look inferior. Those who bought that, who could not research and know where we are coming from, they kept on wearing this toga of inferiority. We need to go back to history and retell our history. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our guest is here, and I'd like us to please focus our attention on him. And I want to welcome you, my brother, Omoyele Sowore. God bless you. I was hoping that they had not detained you again. In fact, when I said I was inviting you, I said I pray they don't detain him before the 5 o'clock time. So when I couldn't find you, I had to call the chairman of EFCC and GSS. Where's Omoyele? Good to see you. You look a lot more
Thank you.
relaxed today. Maybe the
Thank
starting
you,
point is
Pastor.
why did they detain you last time? What did you do again?
Well, last time I was detained because they claimed that I missed one court date. But I'd written the judge a letter that I would not be in town. And I said they should give me an opportunity to have my case rescheduled. So they saw the letter, read it in court, but it still said that they must send me to prison. So I returned from Lagos and they sent me to prison. And I spent 19 days, about 11 days in prison. But I'm out now. It's nothing new to me. I knew they were planning all kinds of things against me. They just want to find any means necessary to put me behind bars so that they can shut me up. But what was interesting in this last detention was that they made specific instructions that I must be detained in a crowded cell where I found out that about 47 persons had tuberculosis, that they've had tuberculosis since December. So they were hoping that maybe I'll catch tuberculosis in the cell. It was unbelievable that they had to do that. And when it was revealed that people in my cell had tuberculosis, they kept putting pressure on the prison authorities to ensure that I don't get relocated from that particular cell. So it was crazy. But I'm out now, and I wasn't. I didn't expect anything different when you do the kind of work we do. Yeah.
I hope you've gone to see a doctor to check that you are tuberculosis free.
Well, interestingly, I had just taken some tuberculosis tests because I was meant to go to apply for some documentation somewhere that it was required, and I was free. But I have to go back. No question about that. In a few days. Immediately I came out, they kept insisting that my trial must happen on a daily basis, so as to prevent me from visiting a doctor. But I hope everything's fine, and we should be okay. It's nothing new. It's the country we found ourselves.
Yeah, and that's why we're talking of rebuilding Nigeria. And I just want to ask, before I go to the video I had shown before you came up, that do you think Nigeria can be rebuilt? Do we really have hope? Or are we just chasing the shadows and so on and so forth? What do you really think from your own perspective?
Well, I believe that Nigeria can be rebuilt, but Nigeria cannot be rebuilt on its faulty foundation. It can't be rebuilt on the current political system as we have it. That is why I've always advocated for a revolution to rebuild Nigeria. That there's a maxim in law. I don't know how it's said in Latin that you can't build something on nothing. That's where Nigeria is. They have completely destroyed the foundation of Nigeria where you can rebuild. So if you want to build Nigeria, you have to start from the beginning. You have to start from the bottom. And that cannot happen with the same set of people, the same set of structures. In a nutshell, the same bricklayers who took us this far, carpenters, and the handymen that took us this far cannot cannot help anybody rebuild Nigeria. They are not interested in a rebuild Nigeria. This is the Nigeria they have always wanted: a broken Nigeria, a Nigeria of poverty, of diseases, of pain, sorrow. Because as I frequently mention, an average Nigerian leader judges his success by the number of poor people who line on the street to greet him in his convoy, or how many roads are not built because they lead to the home of the opposition. That's the mentality of the guys who are running Nigeria. So when they say rebuild Nigeria, they're just mocking the rest of us, because the opportunity to rebuild Nigeria has existed several times. They had the opportunity, the money was there, the resources were there, the people were there at the time. They chased out all the brilliant people in this country. They destroyed the education system that can rebuild Nigeria. They destroyed the infrastructure that can make Nigeria work. They replaced it with nothing. They left Nigeria completely drained and destroyed. So if we are going to rebuild it, we have to close our eyes and understand that we can't do it just by wishful thinking. That's my submission.
So how do we do it? What can we in our generation, in our season, in our time contribute to making sure we point Nigeria in the right direction towards actually rebuilding it based on the situation we found ourselves now?
I think people must get to a point. I think I overheard somebody was speaking before I came on. We must get to a point where we come to a realization, if not, that everybody must leave everything they are doing, and whomever genuinely wants Nigeria to be rebuilt, and just face the enemies of Nigeria, the people who destroyed Nigeria. But any attempt to rebuild Nigeria on the past, on the false hope that somehow we can work with the people who have mastered the process of destroying Nigeria, is just futility. Is nothing will come out of that, and that's why some of us have been regarded as being too radical, not wanting to work with people. But I can't leave my house, leave everything I'm doing, leave my family behind, and come and work with people in Nigeria who I know, whose antecedents I know, whose history I'm aware of, have covered, people whose character, nature is transparently dubious, and say I want to build Nigeria with them. So it's like, again, I don't know if the word flies over our head. I believe that only a revolution can rebuild Nigeria, a total erasure of the terrible past, and a future that can guarantee that when we pour cement, it will hold, that our cement will become concrete. It won't fall and become water somewhere. So it's the reason I have no illusion that Nigeria can't just be built on another false hope of, okay, let's manage it, let's reform some part, let's hope it works. I don't think so, sir. And I've never deceived myself about it.
Well, you mentioned the word revolution a couple of times on this platform and so on and so forth. What sort
Yes.
of revolution do you have in mind? How would the revolution take place? And therefore, we left off last time by saying, what roadmap can you offer for us from the point where we are, if by year basis, day by day basis, what we need to do to ensure we get to that El Dorado? Take us
So
1 year, may take us 7 years, may take us 10 years, may take us 20
yeah,
years.
no, yeah, yeah.
Much further have you
I,
looked that far? And what do you mean by revolution?
I absolutely. The revolution itself will not take 10 years, right? The revolution has to be very decisive, quick, and precise. Nature of the revolution is for a total uprising. When I mean uprising, that everybody stands out and say, look, we don't want the old order. And it can be done via mass uprising, protests. I'm in favor of a non-violent revolution, but I want the revolution to be quick. Let me just maybe break it down to the level of people who might have witnessed like an NSAS, right? Like a nationwide NSAS that is sustained until everything falls, crumbles. I mean, the old order. And then from there, if new interim leadership emerges, I'm talking about national now, and decides on a new constitution immediately, just like the South Africans had after apartheid, and then we discuss transition to a new era, democratic era, that is guided by a people's made constitution. And that's the way forward as far as I can disclose on this platform. My revolution does not include bloodshed, my preference, but I must also admit here that it is those who are oppressing us that usually will determine how people respond when they embark on a revolution. Because I don't want a revolution in which we did end SARS and soldiers just came and killed some people and that's the end of it. And nobody even asked who was killed. Everybody was in denial and we moved on as no, that's not the kind of revolution I want. I want a revolution that is mass uprising, peaceful marches across the country, take over everywhere, every age of land, and we say until the system falls to the ground and it's no longer in existence, we don't move. And after that, we have an interim system in place that will help guide a transition with the first and foremost a brand new constitution, and then we transition to a new democratic era. That is that is what that's the starting point that I can disclose clean here on this platform. I participate because I know the next question will be like, why do you participate in the transition program? Elections. I have no illusion that elections, for instance, and everybody who has participated in elections in the last few years are pretty much aware that election results for 2027 have been written. Yeah, we're just helping to validate the electoral process. All the structures in place for election cannot deliver a free and fair election. But everybody understands that. So, but we participate for awareness. We participate with the hope that maybe there can be a reawakening also in which a ballot revolution could happen. But even a ballot revolution has to be defended with another revolution. And that was all happened in 2023. There was, an allegation that we had the ballot revolution, but it was left undefended.
Yeah. So do you think it's possible to have a ballot revolution this time around? You say the results have been reaching this, that, and the other. Is there any mitigant against that? And are you so sure that the results have been reaching? And
I'm very sure that the results have been written. I am a political party leader until recently. So I go to INEC meetings with other political parties. And we see the high table of INEC made up of APC, National Electoral Commissioners. The president was the one who selected most of the current state electoral commissioners. And we know that they are the ones who print election papers. They are the ones who are in charge of the servers that are supposedly supposed to declare the election results. So they can turn it on and turn it off. But here is why also a ballot revolution is possible. If all of us speaking here today or tomorrow decide that that is going to be how we approach the revolution, everybody steps out the same way. We step out before the election. We don't step down after the election. But that would mean that we have some form of control over the election before the election. If we go to the election hoping that INEC in his pure mind, what Nigerians call church mind, and that the chairman of INEC will just play, he will play along with Nigerian people, they will declare election results. No, it's not going to happen. But if it is clear to INEC and the people who appointed them that Nigerian people have changed and they're not going to accept anything less than, 100% free and fair election. Probably impossible to say 100%, in which they see it that the people are ready for more than an election. Operating word, that the people are ready for more than an election, before, during, and after election. That's a possibility. But that has to be planned as well. Because if that happens, that in itself is a revolution. Because if that happens, the current system will go down. The current system will go down. And I mean, if truly we're going to have a ballot revolution that looks at not just any of the old order men but people, brand new ideas, brand culture, the democratic culture, and a very, very resistant populace. So that is possibility. But you have to grade some of these opportunities in different ways. But I think the best one that can actually really change is a mass uprising across Nigeria, without doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. But do you think the average Nigerian populace have this kind of thinking and whether they're ready for this kind of thing? That's question number one. Then question number two is, do they have what if you are, whatever you do, who is going to replace? Do you have the class of people who you think you can rely on that will replace whatever we have now? Is it not going to be an animal farm situation where the pigs again take over, or or a set of pigs take over, and then the whole thing comes back to square one again? Because in animal farm they had a supposedly revolution, and the pigs took over. Then all animals became equal. Then one night some became more equal than others. So first of all, are Nigerians ready for this process? Is it possible to have this process? Secondly, if the process goes through, is there another class of Nigerians that can take over, or should we just settle with who we have now and just manage ourselves through?
Well,
Those are my two questions.
the question as to whether Nigerians are ready or not, uh, I don't have any doubts in my mind that Nigerians are ready. Uh, that level of preparedness or readiness is also dependent on these conversations we have, and that the nature of our conversation must change. The nature of our attitude towards change must also be very firm and solid. But I have no doubt that Nigerians are ready. But it's the duty of those of us who want it to happen to keep educating, conscientizing, and mobilizing Nigerians onto the barricades until this is achieved. It's not a one person, but I have no doubt that Nigerians are ready. I've met so many Nigerians, and that's your question as to whether Nigerians are ready after the revolution. If you have an animal farm kind of a revolution in which pigs replace the old pigs, new pigs replace the old pigs, that's not a revolution. The reason they call it a revolution is that there's a total wipeout of the past, and you have a new order. If the result of an uprising doesn't present that, that's not a revolution. For instance, I was around during military rule, and by 1999, when we saw the candidates that were running for election, there's no way I can call it a revolution. You can't call a 2015 election, even though there was a party-to-party handover of power. You can't call it a revolution because it's the same old order that came into being. So a revolution must be clearly defined as a system of uprising that produces a new order that brings progress, prosperity, peace, and development. If it doesn't serve those purposes, then you need another revolution to get to the real revolution. And nobody should be under any illusion that when you're going to have a revolution, the people benefiting from the old order will not give up. They'll hang around you. They'll try and sabotage whatever it is you have achieved, because their duty is to prove to the world that there was never a revolution, or that the revolution cannot work. So you have to be prepared, not only to have a revolution, but to defend the revolution and make sure that the revolution achieve the revolutionary goal for which it was for. But I have not met, I'm serious. I've not met any Nigerian in recent times that feels that somehow the part of just another electoral um, circle will take us to the Eldorado that we're looking for. Not that I know of. So that's what I will. That's what I'm pretty sure of. That the revolution cannot be achieved by pandering to the old order. And your last statement that maybe we should stay with the old order is unacceptable. I do not want to live in a country or wish for a country in which we continue and live in an order of incompetence, of corruption, of total absence, absent leadership, a leadership that has no idea how to govern. And there are a lot of people, plenty of people in Nigeria who can govern this country better. But we must create, is the revolution that will create the opportunity for this new set of leaders to emerge, evolve, and take over and run the country better. I have no doubt that we have way too many people who can run this country better than this incompetent and corrupt class of people who are running the country right now.
Without mentioning names, and if you want to maybe you shouldn't mention names. Have you been able to identify the people you think can run the country better? Do you have access to them? That's question number one. And then we do have this habit in Nigeria, I must tell you and I must confess, that people sit around the room, they agree on something, within a few hours, a few minutes, one of the people will go and do what Bob Marley calls soup on them, or will go and betray the whole process. Or you have a lot of people who pretend to be this, pretend to be that, but when you investigate them further, they are no longer the people they have pretended to be, and the noises that they have made. It's happened so many times in Nigeria. People make noise, they talk, they display, they do this, they do that. You give them a bit of power, make them minister, make them commissioner, make them local government chairman. Before you know it, the conversation and the noises changes completely, and so on and so forth. And so you have a lot of that going on in Nigeria. How do you mitigate against that?
I have no doubt that these kind of people exist. I have met them before too. I met several individuals like that in the university. I met them in my life working as a journalist. I met some of them abroad. People with whom we were saying that Nigeria needs to get better, and one day you just see that they have moved back to Nigeria and they are working with the old order. But what is different in our own case is that we have built an ideological base and we built classes of persons that we work with over these years. People have given everything, sacrificed all. I don't want to mention names, but I'm not afraid to mention my own name because I'm sitting right across from you. And I know a lot of people, both at home and abroad, who will give everything to make this country work if the opportunity is given to them. And this opportunity has been lacking. And we have a duty to create the objective conditions for the best amongst us to run our society as opposed to the worst amongst us to run down the best amongst us and ultimately destroy our society. They exist. There's no question about it. I know a lot of excellent people, excellent people. Some of them are on this show. You know, I've seen people on this Zoom call that are excellent people, but they do not really have the opportunity to participate, and they are not here to steal. Some of them have everything to give, have nothing to take from you. But without that objective condition, creating a society where they can work, there's no way they can come in. If you look at what is happening across boards with our system these days and the people you have mentioned, Nigeria has reached a level where all that is required to get into leadership is to betray your cause, to betray your people, and to sabotage your movement, and sometimes to betray your conscience. We know all this. We know their characteristics. We know their noise, even when we see them. We know the way they are organized because don't forget that behind all of these conversations we're having, there's also experience. A lot we have experienced a lot, and we're talking about some 37 years experience dealing with all kinds of characters, dealing with situations, conditions, or conditioning that have made it possible for us to, separate the chaff from the uh, to separate the real from what is black.
The wheat
Yes,
from the chaff.
from the chaff. Yeah, from the wheat from the chaff. That we can guarantee at least reasonably. Yes. So we don't have to mention this, but I'm sure you have come across people too who have who you can trust, can tell you good morning and you get out and it's morning and it's not night. So that much I know. We have organized movements, we've organized political parties. We've had people who are not even in movement or political parties. We've met people in diaspora, men, women of conscience who just want a Nigeria that can walk, and they want to come and put in their best. But right now, this country is completely structured to do exactly the opposite of what I'm telling you. There's no means of even granting opportunity to people who have good intention. If you walk into Nigeria today with good intention, even if you accidentally get into government, they will try to kill you, or they will jail you. If you walk into the Tinubu government and your intentions are good, like you want to sacrifice, you don't want to steal, you will not last. You will not last 2 days, if by accident. But their recruitment process doesn't even allow good people to get near sensitive position. You must have been part of the bad guys before you can be recruited into sensitive position. So you must be a thief to be Minister of Finance. You must be a killer to be any sensitive position. You have to have a package which they can blackmail you if you want to prove stubborn before they can let you into that very tight-knit criminal circle of leadership or rulership in Nigeria.
Well, are you saying that there's no good person in this government that you can point to? Again, you don't need to mention names, but I'm sure you know a few of them across the board, that there's not one of them that's a bit good. And then if that is the case, and if you do think that most of these people, this, that, and the other, how did we get here? How did we get here? What happened? Where were we? Were there no good people in Nigeria that could have participated in the political process to bring us to some level, even from the 60s, from the times of Obafemi Awolowo and all that? Have we just been blessed with not so good people there, or what happened? What in your own trajectory and thinking brought us to this place? So first of all, are there no good people in the present governance across the board, even at the what they call state level and all that level? No good people. The process didn't throw up any good person. And then if you want to mention a few names, no problem. If you want to not to mention names, no problem. But it'll be a thought to hold. And then if that is so, since the 60s when we started our political process, how did we get here? How did we get here that we couldn't have the Singaporean experience where one shot they got a Lee Kuan Yew? China has had a repeated cycle of reasonably decent people that have lifted that economy up from third world to where they are now the industrial giant of the whole world, whether the US likes it or not. China is the manufacturing hub of the whole world. Japan too, somehow they did it, and so on and so forth. And a few of these Western powers seem to have done it. Even in Africa here, you are hearing tales from Rwanda, you are hearing tales from Botswana, and one or two places here and there. What do you think?
So I'm glad you're mentioning all these countries that are doing well. And it takes us back to two things. One, you mentioned earlier the animal farm. And remember the most popular phrase in animal farms that there's no good human being except the dead one. Um, but in our own case, even the dead ones are not good. They did us dirty. Uh, and with regards to some of the countries that you have listed, something happened to them. There was a sort of a revolutionary moment that they had. Something shook these countries to their roots. Russia had its own revolution. China had a cultural revolution. America had its own revolution. France had its own revolution. Singapore had its own kind of revolution. It may not have been announced as a revolution as such, and it was based on the fact that men or some man took a decision to be different from the rest, and some other ones didn't just fold their arms. I think from Nigeria's own experience, it is our inability to shake off what we inherited or what was imposed upon us at a time that was crucial that led us to where we are today. And generate from generations to generations, subsequent generations, good people just kept folding their arms. Good people kept folding their arms. Either they don't want to participate in elections or they don't want to participate in protests or they talk down on the few good people in their midst, which automatically promotes the worst amongst them. Somehow we are all responsible for where we are, either by way of complacency or by way of sabotage, by way of some of the issues that you raised earlier. But what we're saying is that there are also good people who are standing up. We're standing up against the old dirty order, and we must find common ground. But when I say good people, all right, I am not looking for half good people, right? Because I know where that conversation can take us very quickly. I'm looking for people who are genuinely committed, who are willing to give it all if the chips are down. Those are the kind of people, and I have said I've seen them. With my writing off certain individuals or persons or groups has nothing to do with wanting to be alone. It's because I know a lot of them. I've either have covered them or have understudied them or have looked at the practical examples of what they have tried to do, and they didn't just meet the standards I want for the progress that I'm looking for. And I know that if somehow I'm found in the same cocoon with them, I'm going to be slowed down. The country is going to end up the same place I don't want it to be. So for us, and quickly, I'll come back to your first question. That is there no good person in the government? If there's any good person in the government, I don't know. Like I've not met him. And the reason I say so is that if you are good at all, you can't even stay with this government. If you're not corrupt, if you're not willing to make compromises, if you will not sabotage your country, if you're not greedy, I don't see how you can survive and continue to manage to be with the government. So, but generally, my experience with everybody in this government and subsequent government has been very terrible, terrible human beings. They're like particularly terrible human beings, and it makes me feel like maybe that I have this. It makes my stomach churn each time I have to relate with the system, or the system had to deal me a hand, and you can almost predict that this a bad system run by really bad people, and it's almost at every level. Even sometimes junior level people are as mean as the highest level people in ensuring that the system is rotten and is maintained as such and it deals the bad hand against the citizenry. So this is also personal experience from dealing with these persons. If anybody knows anybody who is good in this government, we are in a public space. Maybe you can throw in their names in the comment section, because I'm on Facebook separately from being on your Zoom call, by the way. So and a lot of people are watching. They're watching us, but we have a duty to be honest about our situation, not to paper over cracks regarding Nigeria's current socio-political situation, and our bad economic situation as well, because bad economies also create bad people.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question that's a bit semi-personal to you. And I want you to just take it as I ask it and just give me a frank answer. Some people make comments about you. They say Yele is not being realistic. They say Yele is not serious. They say Yele is not is being idealistic and is not to be taken seriously, and maybe even doesn't have the resource or the money to do what he's trying to do. Then secondly, some people say he's not really been tested, Jerry. We've seen people like him before, and they even mentioned a few names. They were revolutionary, they were this, they were that, they were shouting Aluta everywhere, this and that. After a while, they were giving spaces in the government, and the noises go down. Say, are you sure if you give Yele something now, he will not start singing a different song, make him minister of this, make him minister of that, and da 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 da. Even some people said, the other day, some people were made chairman of People's Bank, they were this, they were that. So just then, if you follow him, you don't know where you're going to end up. At the end, he may just turn back and bite you. So those are comments here, there, and there. I think you're on the public space, public opinion, this public opinion that people whisper to me here and there. So what's your response to that? And although I know probably what you will say, but I still will ask the question.
Yeah, I'm sure you can tell that I'm used to that. That's number one. But let me quickly answer one of the questions in the middle that, if they give Yele something, he will disappear, he will come back. Yele has been offered something for many, many years. Money to, even legitimate money, sometimes I would say. I can explain that if someone wants to know why. Yele has been offered position before. Yele has been offered so many opportunities to join them. I never did. I'm not wired that way. As per seriousness, I don't know how somebody can be more serious than a person who has been serious for 37 years of their life, documented seriousness for 37 years of my life, dedicated seriousness for 37 years of my life, seriousness that has endangered my life. If I wasn't serious, I could have just turned away so that I don't get killed. Seriousness that has witnessed a great life. When I say great life, when people say Yele would fall up, would accept things, I've seen life. I lived in America for 20 years. I just needed to wake up. I didn't need to, to open the bonnet of my car to start it. If I needed money, I worked for it. I got paid. I created company. I employed people. And one day, the Yele that is not serious just left everything behind and came back to Gogota, to be slaughtered, if possible. Suffered all kinds of indignities. Some of them I did by choice, some of them by accident. But so if I'm not serious, why would I do all these things? Why would I keep preaching that the country could be better? Why would I come back to help to make the country better? Why would I offer myself, in some cases, very dangerous conditions and positions in life? Like I said, it's not in every circumstance that I left home hoping that I'll go to prison. You understand? It's not in every circumstance that everybody could choose a better life. The last imprisonment I went through, sir, I went to visit you in Lagos, right? And came back to Abuja. When I was sitting in the plane, the pilot said I should come and sit in the first class compartment, right? I get to Abuja. I left the airport, got home, went to court the next day. I'm in a crowded prison with people that had tuberculosis. I had people who were crying all night long. That's how prison treats them. And I have to just switch between those conditions within the 24 hours. Spend 11 days under those conditions. I'm out again. We're out fighting for all these kids who were kidnapped. They are now out. Many people fought for it. I was tear gas. I collapsed on the streets. I'm not saying that these are conditions or these are qualifications, but I'm using them to demonstrate seriousness. The only thing you said that I agree with is money. Yes, I do not have the money that most people who run for political office at my level have. But I think that money is not everything. And the money that is needed to liberate this country is available with the Nigerian people. If 1 million people donate 100 naira, right, to a candidate, what that 100 naira will do, because everybody that's donating 100 naira has also bought into that campaign or bought into that movement. What that 100 million can do, the people with 10 billion naira cannot do it with stolen money. But the question is, do you want to continue to live a life organized by serious criminal politicians, or you want a life that can be run properly by a person who say we can do it and can do it, but because you are the family of Thomas Didymus, according to the Bible, you want to be convinced. And the person convinces you, you say you're still not convinced. You're still not convinced. But the guys who are ruining your life, are they convincing you? So that is the only thing I consider in the variety of questions you ask me is the money part. But money is not even a big deal. I think we can get to a point where money will disappoint people and be still living. We can develop a new currency called courage and use it to defeat all the money they have. After all, the money they have is devalued every day because they're devaluing the life of their countrymen and women. So it's to say to people, several of these opinions that exist, so many of them are political, some of them are just born out of ignorance, some of them are based out of also genuine concerns. Because for people who are willing to stake it out to say, okay, I want to give my life and my country to you, 200 million people, they want to be sure that you are serious, that you have the capacity, both physical and intellectual, to govern the country and not run it down the same way, like you rightly said, people who claim they were activists in the past have done it. But one of the things I want to say to those who might be watching is that the people who used to claim they are activists may not be activists. I know so many of them, and I've spoken publicly about them. They were never activists, but they pretended to be activists, such that people now just kind of think about antecedents and say, oh, because a, an Adams Oshiomhole used to claim to be an activist, Yele will be like him. No, Adam Oshiomhole was never an activist. He was one of these labor leaders who were masquerading as activists. Although Festus Keyamo used to be an activist. Well, you don't know his history, what he did to Gani Fawemi before Gani died, how they betrayed him. That's how you know this. So, because we no longer teach history in this country. People can't even tell the past of a lot of these people are claiming to be activists. There are people who will swear to you that Tinubu is an activist. Tinubu wasn't an activist. Tinubu was an opportunist who was an apologist of the military. Tinubu's godfather, politically, was not Obafemi Awolowo, right? Obafemi Awolowo is usually the people who claim to be progressive in the Southwest. Tinubu's godfather was the senior Yaradua who died under Abacha's regime. That's why when Tinubu became a political person in the Southwest, he went and designed his own hat. He doesn't wear Awolowo's hat. If he did in the past, he was using it to deceive people. That's why he's wearing his hat that has a handcuff, embroidered into it. That's who they are. So, but nobody asks these questions anymore. People just say, "Oh, Tinubu said he's an activist. This person said no." But to your point, activism is not enough. We need character too. We need competence. We need exposure. We need education. We need courage. We need leaders who also can rally people around, bring them together, bring the best together to manage the country. So amongst my final position is that those who have concerns are entitled to legitimate concerns, but those who also, there's a lot of them who are just politically there to just wear anybody out who talks about Sowore. Oh yes, yeah, he has never been a governor before. If you can go to one state and test his, as if we turn one state to Eldorado. If you trust me to run a state, that means you believe I can run a country. That's the truth, because a state is just one component of the same geographical location known as a country. But why do you want me to run a state when you have a country to save? And you know I can do it. I can beat my chest to do it. I can show you my records. I can show you, where I come from. I can show you my CV. And I'm not going to go there and steal your money. We'll manage whatever is available for us. We'll deploy whatever is necessary. And we'll stand in the way of all these old people, young people, whichever one they are, who has made your country impossible to experience progress. So that's my submission, sir.
All right. We're going to be taking a few questions just now. Again, our time is a little bit fast spent. And let me just take on people again. Thank you very much, my brother, for coming to the program. Thank you for your kind visits the last time. We'll keep our conversations going here, there, and everywhere, and hope that we can come to some kind of safe landing for the benefit of all, by the grace of God. So Minister Sonny is around, and I think Jumoke is around also. There are quite a few hands up, and then we'll try and take as many questions as we can. I hope you are not in too much of a hurry today, so that the people can really get out of you what they're looking for. God bless you all. I will take a little bit of a back seat now and ask Sonny to do that. But before I do that, there's a video I want to play, and it's a video of the President of Kenya making a few comments, and then I'd like us to listen to that quickly. It's for 3 minutes only, and then I'll ask Yele just one or two questions, and then we'll take the questions from the floor. Go ahead, please. Volume.
While disregarding the voice of 54 nations, it is not possible. Africa is no longer willing to wait on the margins of global governance, while decisions about peace, security, and development are made without our understanding, without our perspectives, and without our voice. Africa's exclusion is not only unacceptable, unfair, and grossly unjust, it also undermines the very credibility of the United Nations, this organization. Africa dominates most of the Security Council agenda, provides some of the largest contingents of UN peacekeeping forces, and bears the heaviest costs of instability. Yet we remain the only continent without a permanent seat at the main table where decisions about our destiny are made. Africa deserves, ladies and gentlemen, at the very least, 2 permanent seats with full rights, including the right to veto, and 2 additional non-permanent seats on the United Nations Security Council. The world must understand that reforming the Security Council is not a favor to Africa or to anybody. It is a necessity for the United Nations' own survival. If the United Nations is to remain relevant in this century, it must reflect today's realities, not the post-war power arrangements of 1945.
What do you think of what the President of Kenya said, and how would you put that into context in what other African leaders, Nigerian leaders, and co should also be saying? And is there any reality and realism in that comment? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's a big speech, um, but if I am living in an era that is past the United Nations. I think that the United Nations has outlived its usefulness, and the idea of going to the United Nations, where even the Security Council's veto only belongs to one country, the U.S., is not something that I'm going to waste my time on. Africa has a duty to build its own country, its own people, develop the continent to the point that it becomes a superpower. And it is when you become a superpower, you can feed your people, you can educate them, you have infrastructure that promotes good governance and a great life, that you can veto anything. Getting a seat on the table has never been Africa's problem. Africa's problem is the wrong people sitting on the seats that's been assigned and allocated to Africa. Yesterday night, I was watching the Commonwealth Games. The countries that are doing the best are proud, some of these French countries, including Nigeria, with gold. But ask yourself, to get to the Commonwealth of Nations, you have to go and beg for visa to go to the Commonwealth. Why is it a Commonwealth if the wealth is not common to everybody? So these are a lot of things that we have to reverse. We have to jettison and work towards. My own idea of African renaissance is not looking for a seat on the table of the global oppressive system called the United Nations, where we go every September to go and waste money, little resources we have, just to go and give a big speech and come back to hunger, starvation, and poverty in our countries. It is the one that makes Africa become the best, the biggest, the way China is today. Even if China is not on the security uh, council today, it doesn't matter. It's doing well enough. So I just don't care about the United Nations anymore, personally. And this is my own personal opinion. Uh, that's my submission.
Thank you very much. I think I generally agree with you also that I think we have bigger fish to fry in Africa, and we should concentrate on developing our economy and making ourselves big and strong and relevant, and then we'll have our own position, and we can even live and survive without the UN. So yeah, I think that's a comment. Is a fair comment. Let me hand over to Minister Sonny, and let's take it from there. Thank you so much. If Sonny is not available, Jumoke, you are going to take over, but maybe we should take questions from Theo Odunlami, Godswill Ibanga, and Professor Nubi has resurfaced again, and Blessing Onojede. We'll take those 4 questions and then we'll take it from there. So please unmute Theo Odunlami. Thank you very much. Theo,
Yeah,
please go ahead.
thank you. Good day, everyone. I just have a few submissions to make here, right? Um, one of it is the fact that United Nations was just mentioned, and one Operation Safe Corridor is promoted by them, supported by them at least, and EU. I hope everybody is aware of that. So if this Operation Safe Corridor is moving bandits into the Nigerian military, shouldn't they have reviewed the process and stopped it? So these guys are not in our interest. And I hope people understand that. Then the other thing I wanted to raise is this, and I see Sowore has been putting out a lot out there. And yeah, one thing is this. I believe that the diaspora community has a lot to do with this. Now, and I had a lot of questions going, what should we do? I think it's about time. In fact, as far back as 2 years ago, I've been thinking this should have been happening, where we have like a delegate, you know,
even if it's a question of contributing money for those delegates to interface with Sowore and represent the diaspora community, the common ground at very crucial hours to show their faces and say, look, what is going on here is not acceptable to us in the diaspora. It's about time this should be happening. So we should have a delegate, because when you really look at it, there's nothing much we can do. Sowore has done a lot of the groundwork. And like he said, it's not gonna do it alone. But if we start showing our faces as well, because this guy, he left his comfort zone and he went there to face these people. If we too, even if it's 4 people in the beginning, then we start getting delegates coming in there from time to time to say, look, we condemn what is going on, we support Sowore, and we start putting the words out and start getting more people to support him. Because the support he needs is huge, and he's been trying and he's actually been able to make progress within Nigeria. Even my own mother knows Sowore now. She tells me, Sowore, I said yes. So I'm trying to say that, yeah, with a lot of struggle, the struggle of Sowore has not been in vain. And may God give us the strength in the diaspora and the wisdom to be able to channel his energy into our own energy as well and propel the revolution he's talking about. We're not talking about killing people. We're talking about an election that is already decided even before the election holds. Because when the whole country is behind Sowore and everybody knows everybody is behind Sowore, then it will be so difficult for anybody to rig an election. And that's my submission. And that is what the revolution is all about.
Thank you, sir.
From my own point of view. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, God bless. So we have Godswill Ibanga. That was just a comment, and we really appreciate that comment. Godswill, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Sowore, it's a big pleasure to be in the same space with you. Firstly, mine is going to be very brief. I want to firstly commend you for being the voice to a lot of people, a lot of the oppressed in Nigeria. I used to tell people that you don't know how important Sowore is unless he's the only voice that stands for your liberation. And I want to commend Sahara Reporters, your company, that have been putting forward our story, 774 national health fellows that we promised employment in 2025. Up till now, these young people are still jobless and frustrated. A lot of them left their jobs and they still haven't gotten any employment despite the presidential directive. And that takes me, and your company, Sahara Reporters, has been the only one amplifying those voices, the voices of these young people. In fact, today they just dropped a story regarding that. So that brings me to my question. How do you hope to reform this civil service? Because I have come to realize that presidential order means little to nothing to these civil servants. They are more corrupt, if we have to be sincere with ourselves. People in the civil service seem to be more corrupt than even the politicians. So, like I said, it's going to be brief. I just want to pick your brain on that. How do you think the civil service can be reformed? How do you think it can be made more effective? And what are you going to do if you're given the opportunity to do that? Thank you very much, Mr. Sowore.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother Tio Dulame. I don't have anything to add to what he said. And to Gospel Mbanga, thank you so much for the kind words. With regards to the civil service, I don't think reforms can really change Nigerian civil service. The Nigerian civil service is far gone, too far gone to be reformable. But I think what will happen with the civil service is that they wake up one day and discover that technology has rendered them, no longer needed. And when I mean no longer needed, except people who can conform with the new technological order. And you hear me a lot say things that people criticize, things like, I want to make, an AI the Minister of Finance, and people was like, oh, how is that possible? Well, what is blockchain technology about? What a lot of countries in the world are using AI to make payments. If you deploy AI very well, you actually get rid of 3 bureaucracies at the same time. I mean, blockchain technology, you will get rid of all these big guys who were better to go and steal money in the name of being accountants and ministers. You also get rid of the accountant general's office and also the auditor, because you can make payments, audit, and also you can account you can account for everything and audit almost at the same time with AI. You no longer need huge convoys and bureaucracies that you have been through. And if anything needs to be done, we put it in the system, and the system will give us reminders to the timelines and deadlines that are supposed to happen. Like these 774 head fellows. If I'm president of Nigeria and I make a decision that there's going to be 774 fellows to be appointed, my system will include the dates and the deadline it has to be done. And I'll be reminded possibly by my own people, but I also have access to my own calendar that tells me what I need to do. And no matter how busy it is, you are not only reminded, so nobody will, just cocoon you away from your responsibilities and make you look incompetent. And that's why we're in a fast-paced, a fast-paced world, as I always say, and we have a business to live and utilize what already exists, and that make our world easy and make leadership effective. That's the way I would respond to what most people don't actually refer to the civil service anymore as civil service. They call it evil service here in Abuja. That's how bad things are with the civil service. So I hope my short answer to your short question addresses this issue. But I know that there are people who would be like, oh, if you have a civil service whose job is done by AI, you will not appoint people, employ people. No, we will still employ people. We just don't want to keep people in position where they do nothing but sabotage the people of the country, or don't even do their jobs at all. We want to have want to have the work done as soon as it should be done, without any delays or bureaucracy. Abundance of life and quality of life for everybody, guaranteed under that system.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's keep it very short. I see quite a lot of hands. Usually when we have Sowore, there's so much interest. Blessing, Henry Kantebe, and Dino. I will take the 3. If you can keep it to 1 minute, just go. Please ask only one question for the interest of time. Blessing, you are allowed to unmute.
And, hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Sowore. So my question stems up from me just listening to you, nothing, and it just popped up in my head. Okay, like if I heard you correctly, you did say that the intent, like the way I understood what you said, the intent of the peaceful revolution you described is such that we'll be able to salvage the country. And I did hear you say that any other competent person. So I'm thinking, okay, are you saying that if that were to work, it doesn't have to be you who would be president, any other competent person would be? And then also considering all the sufferings and everything, I was just thinking, why does he really want to be president? So these are just questions in my head. I don't know if they make sense to you, but they're just questions that popped up in my head, and I think I'll be glad if you can give me an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Henry Kantebe, allow him to unmute. Go ahead. Thank you very much, Blessing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pastor Sonny. Well, you have to indulge me because today is my birthday. So I just want to say hello to Mr. Sowore. My name is Henry Kentebe. I'm joining from Toronto, Ontario, and I want to salute your courage. You've done so well in terms of keeping the hope of Nigerians alive. I've listened to you, and I think I understand your revolution better now. The only challenge is that I doubt if that is going to work in Nigeria because of disunity. We are not united, and we don't speak with one voice. It's just like a hopeless situation. The revolution that has worked, just like you said, in the US, in France, in Russia, they are more like homogeneous. So that is one point I just want you to keep in mind. The second point is I most people understand Sowore activism. The only area people are struggling to understand is the politics of Sowore, which is the policies that you're going to bring to bear. That Nigeria is suffering from so many, and we actually are looking for your own idea. What are you going to do differently in terms of interest rates, inflation, insecurity? What is Sowore? Professor Patutomi try to do something like that, like a shadow government. But what we are thinking is to have, maybe your shadow movement, ministers of finance. We know your financial, your fiscal policy framework, and all
Sowore
those
will get
things.
confused with all these long questions. So Henry, thank you. I think he
So,
has gotten your drift.
and to end it, sir, we are also a youth movement, and we'll be looking at areas of collaboration with your political party. Thank you. Thank you for the
All right,
opportunity.
thank you.
Pastor Tony.
Let me just take one more. I don't want to overcrowd him. Deno, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much for this. Mr. Sowore, it's been a while. It's been ages, actually. Last time I saw you was back in New York at the African Shrine. I think that was when you were just starting off your newspaper. And I met you along with your late partner. May her soul rest in peace. And we were working on some co-promotion on my website and your paper. Anyway, good to see what you're doing for Nigeria. I want to give you some kudos on playing your role in trying to bring Nigeria to where Nigeria truly should be. A couple of questions that I have. There was a statement that you made earlier on that one of the things you kind of admitted that one of the key things, one of the key struggles that you faced is financial, raising capital to run for office. But it's kind of perplexing knowing what it takes to run for office in Nigeria. You chose to run for the highest office in the land, knowing the struggles in terms of raising capital. Not only that, the political opposition and the various vested groups and so on that you will face. It would be nice to understand why you chose to go to that particular or run for that particular post as opposed to governorship, senator, local chairman. Do things that might have given you a bit more credibility and at the same time, building up your war chest. Why go for the most critical and most difficult, challenging position? And
All right, sir.
that's basically my
I
question,
think,
really. Thank you.
yeah, thank you very much. Sure, let me let you. I think they have asked several questions, just one person, but those three.
Yeah.
your
I
questions,
think the first question was Blessing, who was asking why
yeah,
I'm going to be president. And I wish to answer that I want to be president because I'll be the best president Nigeria would ever have had if the opportunity is granted to me and I'm qualified to be president of Nigeria. But also to say to anybody who might be listening or watching today that if you want to be president of Nigeria, you are at liberty to do it. Don't even look back. Don't think twice. Because the people who have been governing Nigeria since I was conscious are not half as intelligent as some of you that I'm listening to, even here today. Some of them cannot even construct two or string two statements together. I don't know what governance is about. We just assume that they know what they are doing because they somehow finagle their way to the presidency. So it's a choice I made, and this speaks a little bit to Deno's position a long time ago, that if we are going to solve this problem, we're going to solve it from the most important credo, which is the presidency. I know a lot of senators all over the world, including Nigeria, who chose to be senator, and when they get there and try to do something different, they just kick them out of the Senate. I'm not saying that because I kicked out of Senate, I can't make it, but this is where I chose to make impact. And then you raised an interesting position about having met me in the past. I remember when I wanted to start Sahara Reporters, I was told the same thing. Why don't you just start a neighborhood? Because at that time, we were actually working on the African magazine. The person you mentioned who is late is Joy, uh, who died in the course. I woke up one day and said, I don't want to write for the African magazine anymore. I'm going to start my own platform because I know exactly what I want. And Sahara Reporters was born 20 years ago. I've not looked back. And it has not disappointed me. And I'm glad that I took that bold decision. And when I was starting Sahara Reporters, one of the challenges I had was people asking me, are you a journalist? Did you go to journalism school? Should you not go to journalism school first before you come and do a journalism platform that's going to cover the whole of Africa? I said, no, I want to try this. And it worked. And I know that presidency is not a trial and error issue, but I am convinced that we can do better by, standing firm and said, if you're qualified to be president of Nigeria, you have the vision, you have the conviction, and you are mission driven, and you have the character, and you have the boldness and courage to take on big things. Don't reduce yourself to things that you are not designed to do. That's how I'm built, to think big, act big, and make big things happen. Henry Kintebe, let me wish you a happy birthday today. I wish that if I have your picture, I would have loved to post it on my Facebook. But if I do, don't try to come to Nigeria because they will hold you at the airport simply because I post your happy birthday message. Uh, just joking. You said something about disunity and hopelessness. It is actually not very true that there's disunity in Nigeria. I think Nigerian leadership has always used the unity or the disunity of the oppressed to continue doing what is the most popular rule in the book, divide and rule. We were the same people at our movement in 2024 that had a near almost a revolution in 2024 that most of you probably have never heard about, known as End Bad Governance, in which the key people who fought that battle across the country were Northerners, very, very young, dissatisfied, disenchanted Northerners, because they were mobilized to understand that this is a battle of their lives. In fact, the federal government was so upset with the protesters that they took the 14-year-old protesters and charged them for treason in 20 until, of course, there was a lot of shaming and they couldn't sustain that. So, Harry, wishing you a happy birthday. What we are fighting for is the unity of the oppressed, not the disunity of the destroyed. And we can achieve that if we keep speaking to all of us still on the same topic that we want this to happen. We can achieve that. I have no doubt. People talk about the homogeneity of countries that have had revolution. It's always not true. There are countries that have had revolutions that had even more tribal groups than we have here. I think what we must understand is that hunger, starvation, and suffering don't understand tribe. But again, we have a lot of work to do, I have no doubt, in ensuring that our people are kept, kept understanding that we are one and we're united by our suffering. So that's the other part of it. You talk about policies, interest rates, inflation. all of these have been discussed over and over. In fact, I'm the only presidential candidate that's got an app. It's called Sowore now. You can download it and it talks about all these policies you want to hear. And he also mentioned shadow government. In fact, I was one of the people who opposed shadow government of Professor Patutomi because I told him at that time that the government in town is also a shadow government. There's no need for two shadow governments in Nigeria. So, and as it happened, that shadow government didn't go anywhere. I don't think we need to repeat the need for shadow government because it's an idea that we can borrow from somewhere. We need to step out of the shadow and create a system and a government that works for us. That's the solution. Then you were talking about raising capital. Well, you and I lived in the US at the time that capital was a problem of an idealistic guy too. Barack Obama. Barack Obama was a community organizer in Chicago neighborhood who became senator for a few months, and people had faith in him, and they raised capital. Raising capital is no big deal. If the people believe in you, the money that we need to run this election will come from everywhere and everybody. So we don't need the people who claim they raise capital here, people who steal public funds to run for elections. But we can raise capital. And we can. I was one of the first persons that started, crowdfunding for elections in 2019. And I raised over $140,000, even though not much was done, just from GoFundMe alone in 2014, and also got a lot more money from within Nigeria to run for the 2019 election. So raising capital is not rocket science, but if it is, some of us are rocket scientists too. We can make it happen. I think it's important to elevate the conversation to let the people know that they can own this process and they'll pay for it. We don't need to go and steal money. And again, I'm answering you that I don't need to be a local government chairman. I don't need to be a senator to make impact. In fact, I've made impact in the last 7 years without being any of this. And I don't think anybody can doubt the fact that I've made my own impact where I chose to. But what we need to understand, and we must never forget, is that to make this happen, we must attack the problem where it's most important. The presidency in Nigeria right now is where the help is needed. If you can do it, I urge you to throw your hat in. If you don't want to do it, don't stop others who want to do it. That's my submission to the three of you. If I skip any of your questions, please, I apologize. I can always get back to them, but I want to try and get to as many people as possible before Pastor
the
Itua
time is up.
closes. Yes, before the
Yeah.
time is up. Because I know, you guys know, I also have like legal issues to deal with. So as soon as I'm done, which I have to meet with lawyers, I meet with my parole officers, I have to meet with people, a lot of people. And I have to also campaign to others who may not be here. Because if we don't have much time left. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. All right, great. So please let's all keep it just to a minute. Please don't be offended if I stop you after a minute, so that we can take as many hands as possible. And try and restrict yourself to one question and just go straight to the point. Abraham Olem Adek, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much, Pastor Sonny. Without wasting much of our time, my own question is regarding the position of our comrade Omoyele on the UN. We would all agree with him on the fact that the UN has been inefficient in some ways. However, if perchance we consider it needless in totality, then we also will have to ask ourselves, is there such a concept like Africa? Because we brought about the discussion about the UN was brought in when we tried to comment on in regards to the African as a continent. So is there such an identity as Africa? Because to me, the identity The African identity itself is as artificial as what the UN is trying to achieve. So how do we foster that identity beyond that?
All right. Sowore, do you understand the question?
I understand the question, yes.
All right, great. So in Kiruka Banjoko, Allah in Kiruka, on mute. In Kiruka, you can unmute yourself. Okay, let's move to.
Okay, sorry, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
What I just want to say basically is that, Mr. Sowore, we see your good work. Initially, I thought you were a paid opposition. You know, we always have this thing in Nigerian politics where you see people who shout at the government in the front, and during the night times, they nicodemously go back to the same government they've criticized in the morning, the Oshomole pattern. But we've studied you and we've seen that you've been consistent. So you kind of changed my perspective. Even my 14-year-old daughter and my 10-year-old daughter are like, Mommy, this man deserves to be the president of Nigeria because he's gone in and out of prison. And I said, yes. Initially, I had a wrong notion about him, and now I have a good notion about him. So all I'm just going to say to you is continue. I've contested twice or 3 times, 3 circles. I didn't get to win my primary ticket this year, but I still see you as a worthy comrade, even if we're not in the same party. And I believe there's nothing wrong with you being the president of Nigeria. We're done having the dirge of the society rule us. And if you be the sacrificial lamb who will come out clean, and you don't need to be a local government chairman first before you become the president of Nigeria. If you can get it, get it. I would support you the little way I can here, where I am. At least you have fans in my house. My daughters are okay with you. I'm okay with you. Continue. Well done.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Great. So let's move to Efekonwa Onofe.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I want to appreciate Comrade Sowore. He's been consistent all these years. I actually grew up to meet him in activism. Yeah, I want to say well done to you. I'm streaming all the way from Liverpool. I just have one particular question to ask. You see, the issue of Nigeria, in terms of the decadence of the system, has been far back many years ago. So my question to Mr. Sowore is this, because I hear you people talk about what will you do when you become the president, how will you reform the system and all that. So I think the question should be, how do we prevent the rigging of the election? So I want you to just briefly talk about what strategies do you have, because the system on ground already is programmed to rig election. So what strategy, what artificial intelligence, what external forces do you have to prevent the rigging of this election? Let's assume money is available. We all in diaspora have to contribute, for example. You have the money to do what you want to do. So how do you prevent the incumbent government from not rigging this election? That's my question. Thank you.
All right. Great. Thank you. Let me take Charles. That'll make it 3 or 4. Charles, go ahead, sir.
Hello, Mr. Sowore. It's an honor. Oh my God, I cannot believe I'm meeting you. I'm so happy. Oh my God, I met this man. Don't mind me. I'm a Gen Z. I've heard a lot about you. Yeah, but I heard a lot about you. I've heard so many conspiracies, so many propaganda. I said, no way. This man is the man that will liberate not only Nigeria but Africa. I'm so happy to meet you. I'm so happy to. I'm just hoping, please, sir, please continue what you're doing. Don't stop, okay? I know there might be rainy days. I know you might be get frustrated, but I know what you're fighting for. You're fighting for the future Nigeria generation. You're fighting for the people who cannot even see what is going on. Please, sir, continue. I keep telling my friends in Lagos to vote for you, but they keep telling me, you said you would do this, do drone for technology. I said, listen, I said, the whole world is evolving and Nigeria is behind. That this man has seen it all. Why can't you just trust this man? But they keep insulting me. They insulted me and said, Sowore is like them. Sowore, I'm a fool for believing in Sowore. I said, no problem. But, I know one day God will vindicate this man, whether you like it or not, because he has the courage that none of your leaders don't have. Okay, my
Thank you.
first question is, sir, what
Okay, you
is...
haven't asked yet.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to give him, I just wanted to, praise him and all that. I wanted to thank him, please.
Okay, so you have just one question. Please just drop it. Just one.
No problem, no problem. I'll still meet him again. I hope he comes to Houston. He needs to come to Houston. I hope he comes to. Okay, sir. My first question is, what is your plan for homeless people, the disabled people? What is your plan for them? I'm way more concerned about the homeless people. What's your plan for them?
All right, thank you. That will be all we can take from you. Thank you very much. Sowore, do you want to take those questions or should I take more hands?
Yes.
Okay.
Abraham, thank you so much. Your question is about my position on the UN, particularly about African identity. I don't want to dwell too much on the African identity from the point of the Pan-African, era. My goal about African identity is prosperity. And we cannot have prosperity without integration because all the other, groups, subsets in the world that are making it today,
Yes, please.
the identity is defined by how well they are doing. The Europeans have the European identity by how well they are doing, not necessarily, the ethnic identity. And now they're also defining it by how much they don't want other people in their society because they want to protect that economic prosperity they have. The American identity is defined by how well they want to do, or how well they're doing, or how much they can dominate the world. African identity should be defined by integration and prosperity, that to the point that all Africans should come together, jettison the artificial borders. But the only way we can get rid of the borders is to integrate Africans, is to construct superhighways, trains, and an African economic system that is internal to African, to have ability to transact business in Africa without passing through Europe, to have our own internet and telecommunication uh, backbones, and to start investing in the education that can also make Africa become a technological power and a manufacturing hub in the world, not a place where you take raw materials away from and return to Africans. You determine the price of taking out the raw materials, and you determine the price of the final product that's processed. That's not the kind of African identity I want. Of course, we can talk about the intrinsic part of Africa after we have figured out how Africans prosper, unite, and become a power base in the world. And my solution is integration. In Kuruka, I don't even need to say anything to you. Thank you, and please, my regards to your kids. Tell them one day we're going to meet when Sowore becomes president, and it's going to happen. Onofe, you asked about how we can prevent rigging, the incumbent from rigging. I said it earlier. If you are going to any election with this set of people, you have to go into the election as if everything is at stake before the election, during the election, after the election. That's all I can tell you. I don't want to put out too much regarding what we plan to do, but we need all of us to decide that we are not going to accept any form of malpractice, and to take this as a revolution. I mean it. My brother from Houston, he said, what's the plan for the homeless and the special population in the country? I'm the only person who has a public housing policy, which is going to be mixed income. And in our first year, we're looking forward to building a million houses. across Nigeria, of which homeless people will be a priority, where the rich and the poor can live together in the same community, a community that has, parks, that's got schools, and has got theaters, and, that can bring the kind of integration that you've never seen before. But the priority will be to take the homeless out of the streets and provide them accommodation through mass housing, and to make sure that the special population also have priority in terms of this, and that these houses are built with special population facilities. Nigeria is the only place where public buses that have been around many countries, I've been to about 30 countries, where public buses, even aircraft, don't have provision for people with disability. I was watching one guy the other day is climbing onto an aircraft, and he has to be climbing on his behind. Nobody was even helping him. We should make it as a matter of policy and law that anybody who is in the special population community will not be abandoned, and that it will be unacceptable to not treat them with dignity.
Behind, Dr.
This will
Samuel.
include offices,
I have a
having
quick question.
provision for them,
I've been
buses,
waiting
and
to
universities. It will be
either
a
get
matter
a
of
letter
as well as policy.
or
Thank you so much.
online. I pretty much get the same thing. So I just wanted to find
Thank you very
out if
much.
there's any way I can
So
get
we
the
are going to take the last set of hands now. We are going.
process.
Jimmy, Ahmed, Kazim, Joseph
What do you need?
Olorushaw, Dr. Adenike,
Social
and
security benefits and Medicare.
Professor Timothy. Those are all. 1 minute. I will take everybody together and then we'll close.
Yes.
So Jimmy, go ahead. 1 minute.
Okay.
Jimmy Doman. All right. Ahmed Mohammed. Go ahead.
You guys who let me to talk. You
Who
just
is this?
neglect me.
Who is this, please?
This is Jamie.
Okay, go ahead now.
Okay.
I just called you now.
Hey, sorry. So thank you, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. I'm always enjoying Facebook because of you. You are one of the reasons I enjoy Facebook so much, due to your Sahara reporter, because I enjoy the kind of news they carry. So you are welcome to the presidential race. I'm one of your fans. God will eventually bless you. I like your courage. You understand? So, like what I was saying, you talks about robots doing the work of civil servant, where you finally become the president of Nigeria. Like, so how will you do the employment? Like those people you took the like robot has already represented, how would they able, like we the masses, due to employment stuff? So what will we be employed for those kind of stuff?
All right, fantastic question. Thank you very much. I'm sure he got that. Ahmed Mohammed, go ahead. Ahmed, yeah, unmute again. Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, good evening, Mr. Sowore. I salute
Please
you
speak up.
for your effort. Hello? I said,
Speak up.
good evening, sir. I salute you for your efforts. So my question here, so that I should be fast. My question here is that I'm trying to get through the mobilization here from the north in Gombe State. But what is going on here is we, the northerners here, we don't even know about you, and we don't know my people here don't know even about how you are going. You're going for the presidential election and the rest. So I want, if possible, please, sir, grow your effort here in the north and see how things will work, because you can't win this Nigeria without the vote of the northerners. So when I'm trying to let people know about it, they'll be saying, who is Sowore, what?
where did he even, when did he even start contesting for the president and the rest? So, sir, I'm suggesting that you should, like, look for what you can do through here. Not. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Kazim Bello. Kazim? Joseph Folorunshaw, allow Joseph Folorunshaw to unmute.
Kazim has unmuted.
Yeah, but Kazim is not speaking.
Okay.
Joseph Folorunshaw, go ahead. Dr. Adenike.
Sorry, I haven't unmuted. I've unmuted Joseph. Go ahead, Mr. Joseph. Okay, I've also unmuted Dr. Adenike.
Dr. Adenike,
Okay,
go ahead.
thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a very interesting discourse so far, and a big well done to Mr. Sowore. You've indeed been very consistent. And I'll just want to know, you've led the fight against corruption for decades. Now, governing a country like Nigeria with over 200 million people and a debt profile in excess of 100 billion requires more than activism. What is your strategic joker? The one policy or approach that would allow you to turn anti corruption into actual economic relief for Nigerians?
This is a doctorate question. Thank you very much. Professor Timothy Nubi.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sowore. 2019, I invited you through the center that I run, University of Lagos, for presidential debate. And I want to appreciate the fact that you turned up where quite the big wigs shaking out. And what I'm referring to the invitation at the University of Lagos for the presidential debate that I organized then was that day you spoke like a presidential candidate. But listening to you tonight, I put in the comments section, and a lady who asked question earlier was able to pick that from your presentation. Your presentation tonight, at the beginning of your presentation, before the question and answer, was like, it's like somebody who is tired. You are now proposing that revolution is to get a competent person to rule. You are no longer, in your opening statement, you did not present yourself as the savior or the messiah or as the presidential candidate. So, but I believe that from the many questions and commendations, probably the faith is renewed again. But from your opening statement, the discouragement is quite obvious. And I put it on the comment section. So the question I want to ask, is that you have listened to the young man from Kano, from the northern part of the country, who said that they hardly know what you are doing. What are you doing differently this time around to move forward? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sowore, I know it's a lot, but let's just take this last two so that we don't come back to it again. So that everybody go ahead, Omotayo, Omabamiro. Yeah, Omotayo, go ahead. Honorable Triple. Allow Honorable Triple. Yeah?
Good evening, sir.
No,
good evening, everyone.
we can't take anybody anymore.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. I'm privileged to meet you this evening because one of your posts you posted online where you talked about your cabinet, that when you find out that any one of them embezzles money, then that's the end of their political career. So I was talking to a set of people because I personally just begin to arrange for the AAC in my own constituency. So, and they were like, the person you wanted to use as a president who said he's not going to give anybody money doing campaign and every other stuff. So I just want to ask, how do you want to go about this? Because when we look at it in other parties, they organize money for them during election day. Okay, PDP they said 20,000, APC 10,000 or something like that. And at the end of the day, people who are voting for AAC said they are not going to gain anything. And I actually told them that, okay, what is the essence of the money you people are collecting? And at the end of the day, when the candidates enter into the position, he will wants to retrieve all his money back, but they don't want to listen. So this is one of the reasons why I said whenever I have opportunity of having discussion with you, I'm going to ask that, how do you want to go about this, sir? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I take the last person. Okay.
Hello,
Nyansu.
you asked me to unmute and you never call my name.
Who is that?
Kazim.
Who is? Okay, Kazim, go ahead. You went off. We called you. I called you,
Really?
obviously. Yeah,
I
go
didn't
ahead.
hear that.
Please be brief.
Okay, so very,
Just
very brief, very, very brief.
yes. Go ahead.
I just wanted to commend Mr. Sowore. We know each other back days in New York, struggling all along. I wish him the best. He's been called Mr. Consistent, and I believe he's very consistent. And he's also said he's qualified to be Nigerian president. He is definitely qualified to be Nigerian president. But he raised one issue, and that's why I raised my hand. Otherwise, everything he said is okay, sanctioned by me. You raised the question of how Obama was able to raise money from just grassroots community work, and from there, Obama didn't even spend 4 years in Senate before he came up as a presidential candidate, and then he raised a lot of money. How much Nigerian diaspora sent on 20 billion or more every year? 0.1% of that is $10 million. I mean, my question to Mr. Sowore is that if he has identified funding as a major component of becoming a president, and in order to make that a reality, how much of the diasporans has he actually galvanized in the past? Because I don't see diaspora supporting him, coming to his cause, coming to his struggle as much as I would think. With 20 billion
right.
and a fraction of that, he should be able to get the kind of support he needs from the diaspora. And that's my question to you.
Thank you very much. Sure, go ahead and answer them. We can't take any more
Thank you.
questions. And
Thank you,
we'll
everyone,
give you
for
that.
all your great questions and your commendation, kind words, and very interesting conversation we've had today, and I hope we continue to have more. The first question to me was from Jimmy, who said, if you are replacing people with drones, robots, how do you create employment, or what do you do to employ people? Well, the technological innovation that's coming to government is not meant to come and get people unemployed. It's meant to make life better for everybody, including employees. And what I know, and I've understood this about technology, whenever it came to be, the world has experienced 4 major revolutions, industrial revolutions. The fear is the same, that if this thing comes, we're going to lose our job. And it has been that each time there was a technological revolution or an industrial revolution, people actually got more jobs. I remember I was around when people were complaining that they were typists, and if computers came, they would lose their job because we're using typewriters. But we found out that computers created more jobs than the number of typists we had. So everything that's coming into the government based on our technological advancement plan is to enhance the ability of Nigerians to get more jobs and to get better pay and to be able to link to the rest of the world. I want to give you an example that I now have friends in Nigeria who are working abroad without leaving Nigeria. Why was it possible? The internet. Because you can sit back in Nigeria, get a job abroad to do pretty much anything, And if technology hadn't come, you would have needed to travel physically to those uh, places where to find a job. So drones, robots, and AI is not coming to get rid of anybody's job. It's coming to enhance the ability for us to create more jobs because we have 200 million people to serve. But I would not also deny that if anybody is useless in this current dispensation, uh, technology will edge them out. So it's also their duty to ensure that they get themselves updated and be part of the technological revolution that is coming. If you get updated and upgraded, you are with us. And you will never lose a job, you make more money. Don't forget that I also have proposal for minimum wage that nobody has ever been able to knock out, even though they asked me all the time, how do you get the money for it? Ahmed, you talked about people not recognizing me in the North. I don't think it's true, but hey, I want to say that the biggest room that is needed at this time is the room for improvement. And we'll do everything we can to reach every nook and cranny of the country, north and south, and take this revolutionary message with us so that everybody who is not aware will be aware. So I'll be glad to work with you to reach out to you on how to enhance our visibility in the north and everywhere else. I don't take that for granted at all. I accept that as uh, an advice and I take it. Kazim Bello, you were talking about raising money from diaspora. I actually did it before because I lived in diaspora. And like I said, I did a whole lot of uh, crowdfunding in 2019. In 2022, I didn't do much in the diaspora because I couldn't travel. My passport was seized in 2022 when I ran the second time, and I couldn't travel. Even now, they've seized my passport again. But you made a very important comment about the diaspora and the war chest that they could bring to bear on an election. And they always do that. And we're reaching out to the diaspora. If you're in the diaspora, we all need your help. You're saying that the diaspora sent 20 billion naira to Nigeria every year. No, it's actually over almost $50 billion is sent now. And if we get 0.05% of that, you'll be guaranteed of not just diaspora voting, but that the diaspora return to Nigeria when we take this part. Because I've been part of diaspora. I don't need anybody in the diaspora to. I don't need to preach to the diasporas about what I'll do for diaspora. I stayed in the US for 20 solid years, and I did a lot of things there that I probably wouldn't have been able to do if I was living in Nigeria. So I know what it means. But we are appealing to diaspora. That is why our process of engagement is also very easy and easy to use. Like I said, I have an app on Android and iOS, an iPhone that you can download. It's Sowore Now app, and that could help you in whichever way you need to look at us, volunteer, support, help you find your local governments, your wards, and reach out to them so that we can connect across board, raise enough funds, raise awareness. One of the things that happened in 2019 was I was also able to travel across the world to the point that I traveled in 4 cities in Australia, and also traveled to South Africa. I was in Kenya. I mean, I wasn't in Kenya, but I was in Ghana. I was in Canada. I was in several cities in the US. We're moving from city to raise funds. We raised quite a lot, both physically and offline and online, and we can make it happen. If we get $10 million in this election, I can guarantee you that the election will be over before the election day, because we'll spend just a little to get everybody on board. But to Omotayo, I do not plan to give anybody money on election day. No bribery. We have a policy not to bribe anybody. We are coming to fix our country. We don't need to bribe people. And people who collect bribe every year, they've seen the outcome of their bribe. So we are more of, creating political consciousness across board and mobilizing people, motivating them to save themselves and not to wait for peanuts and handouts from politicians who stole their own money and give them a fraction on election day. And I guarantee you that the feedback we're getting from the grassroots has changed. But we have to sustain that momentum. There's no question about it. Dr. Adenike said, after decades of fighting, against anti-corruption, how do you move from being an anti-corruption fighter to dealing with major economic problems like our debt profile, which is huge? Well, the reason why corruption is central to the struggle for economic development in Nigeria is that it is not a lie, right? The Nigerian leaders steal more money from Nigeria than they even borrow. Or when even they borrow, they steal what they borrow. Even when sometimes there's recovery of funds that are stolen and sent abroad. When it's returned, they still steal what has been returned. So we cannot close the anti-corruption loop, because it is like saying we want to be fetching water with baskets. It's not, it won't retain anything. But with regards to, if we stop and block all the loopholes at first, I have no doubts that we would have sufficient, substantial amount of money or resources to work with. And then we will, and you listen to this now. I have a number of proposals, campaign promises, and manifesto that is detailed on how we intend to move Nigeria from being a deadbeat country to a prosperous country. And this is available once again on our website, showerenow.org, and you can find it on the app. If you find time to download it, it will explain all of this. Because if I sit down here and tell you that, anti-corruption is the only way, no, it is not. We cannot, in all honesty, get this country out of the doldrums without solving electricity, for instance, the power sector issue, because that would put us in that industrial revolutionary space as well. That would make us and help us produce and participate within economies, both local and internationally, that will put us where we need to be and will not put us in a debt bind, even though we may end up having to borrow to get some of those things done, but I'm not going to borrow to embezzle or borrow to consume or borrow to steal. That's why anti-corruption is central to this progressive ideal that I have spoken a lot about. Dr. Timothy Nobe, you mentioned that when you first saw me, I spoke like a presidential candidate. And this time around, you feel like in talking about the revolution, it's no longer presidential. Well, I have to tell you that I've also experienced a lot on the field, having run for the presidency. This will be my third time. And I can sit here and tell you that, by speaking like a presidential candidate, I'm going to win the election. No, it's going to be a lot more than that. We have to be ready for way more than just speeches. We have to roll up our sleeves. We have to put our foot on the ground and ensure that whatever we say can be implemented. But first and foremost, we must provide the atmosphere for the best to win the election, not the dregs of our society as they are planning to do now. That's probably, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking to depress anybody. I am not tired, even though some days we're more engaged than others. I'm just coming from a radio station and drove down here. Uh, but it's not a sign of tiredness. I'm just speaking from experience that we need to put in a little bit more energy, uh, accelerated and upgraded energy in dealing with the monsters that our society is faced with. And they are no longer acting the way they were acting in 2019 when I met you. They have gone several notches higher. So I hope, guys, I was able to connect well. If anything, tonight I want to appreciate Dr. Etua once again, Jumoke, and our moderator. Sorry, I can't remember your name right now, who's moderating here. I want to thank you for bringing me all the time, the trust and the love and the opportunity you provide for us to reach people and talk to them about the possibilities that are there for us to have a future that is definitely better than our past. Don't let us lose this opportunity. And I want to appeal to our diaspora brothers, sisters, families that help is here. It's not even on the way, only if we can all embrace it at once. Thank you very much. And I'll say it's good evening from here in Nigeria, wherever you may be. Wish you the best and I hope to talk to you soon again. I yield back
Thank
to
you.
the moderator.
Thank you very much. The name is Pastor Sonny. Sure,
Pastor
that's
Sonny,
okay.
sorry about that. Thank
Great.
you. I
No,
remember
it's
you.
okay. Yeah, Pastor Itua. Let me bring Pastor Itua up to come and close. It's been a very, very good time spent. We've gone a few minutes above 2 hours, but I believe that you have been able to really provide great perspective. Maybe I should ask you one question before Pastor Itua comes up, and this is on the lighter note.
Yes.
I know you are, everybody know you, the activist, the very serious man, but somewhere inside you, I know you're also a lover man, a husband of one wife, the father of children. You have continued in this your unwavering commitment for the struggle for justice and good governance in Nigeria. And it has come at tremendous cost to you. You've often said you are not afraid to die for the cause, and you have been arrested severally and imprisoned. My question, therefore, is what conversation have you had with your wife, your children, and your parents, if they are still alive? What have they told you? How do you balance your commitment to the nation and your responsibility to the family?
Well, I still have a mom who's been down with stroke for over 7 years. Now, my mother actually had stroke the day I was rearrested by the DSS inside the courtroom. I would say abducted by the DSS in 2019. She doesn't speak anymore. Stroke just degenerated over time. When with my immediate family, wife and children, I will address that of my wife first. One of the things I tell my wife is that for the level of struggle that I'm involved in, it's like polygamy, you know. I don't have a second wife in real life, but the struggle is like a wife too. It takes a lot of attention. So I would be honest that we have difficult conversations a lot of times because I also have kids in the US, two that I know of who expect their dad to come to their graduation and drive them, and they just grown up lightly without me, and that's not the prettiest things to have as a dad. But it's also a commitment that they have come to realize is there. But we still have difficult conversations about why don't you just quit? Why are you not home? You know, I need you to drink. We do have that, so it's tough. I'm going to admit that on the family side. I have brothers and my father popped over 20 kids, and about 15 of us are still alive. In fact, one of my brothers was killed under very suspicious circumstances while I was undergoing treason trial when Buhari was in power. So it's everybody somehow is involved in the wrong way just because I do this. Yes. I don't know if my question is satisfactory to you, but it's just the bare bone. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that honest answer. Pastor Itua, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, sir. Over
I'm
to you.
here. Omoyele, thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Pastor. I
my heart
appreciate it.
does really go out to your family. It's a lot of price to pay. You are sounding rather like Nelson Mandela, 27 years in the prison without his family. And it did affect the family very, very seriously. In fact, by the time he came out, he couldn't find them. Children on different kinds of avenues in life, a wife who had become something else. So please try and find a way to find time for family to some extent. But honestly, the path that you have chosen takes a lot of sacrifice. Then the other slightly painful thing is like Jesus, even the people that you are sacrificing for really don't appreciate it. And sometimes they are the ones who will say, crucify him. That's the irony of life. So you have to be prepared. I've seen it also in my own personal life. The people that you have slaved for, that you sacrificed for, that you worked hard for, something happens and they're the first ones to be throwing stones at you and to almost turn their backs on you. It's happened to me personally before. And it's a painful thing, but it's a necessary thing. Because honestly, I used to say also that Nigeria is worth dying for. Then some people say I should stop saying so. Nobody, but honestly, some revolutions or some movements or some things, it requires the soul of somebody, to be honest. Christianity did. Nelson Mandela gave up his soul for South Africa. Some of the revolutions that you spoke about, the Bolsheviks in Russia, the the French Revolution, and so on and so forth. Some people virtually gave their lives and lost their lives for it. Even the Arab Spring that we had the other time, it required a man to burn himself in the market square for there to be change. Yorubas make a proverb. They say the one that we use his head to break a coconut sometimes does not eat out of the coconut. When I was going through my crisis, that's what Gandhi was telling me. That you're using your head to break a coconut. But it is well. It is well because we don't live for now. We live for perpetuity. We live for eternity. We live for righteousness. We live for to live forever and to live for a purpose. And I think you have discovered yours, and history will remember you, and the Lord Himself will honor you. So I want to thank you very, very much for your
Thank you, sir.
sacrifice. Yeah, a lot of people cannot imagine what you are sacrificing. A lot of people, they cannot imagine it. For them, it's almost like sports. They have detained Sowore again. A part of why we lose the struggle in Nigeria is that not one Nigerian can bear to spend 2 days in detention. By the time he gets there for half an hour, when they take him on Friday, he starts to look for a way out and is ready to sign any paper to make sure he doesn't sleep in detention. And that's part of it. But you've done it time and time and time and time again for no real benefit to you. So I must honestly appreciate you, regardless of what people say. Regardless of what people say, it's because they don't understand. So God will bless you. God will strengthen you. God will continue to encourage you. Your efforts and your labor will not be in vain. And I pray that even the government and the people will appreciate you because every government needs people who can tell them the truth and I dare say put them on their toes so that they can from time to time even check themselves. And I want to let you know that even the small efforts that you are putting is making some kind of impact here and there. Otherwise, they won't be putting you in jail and this and that all the time. So it is well. It is well. What we want is for the good of all and for common good. It's nothing personal at all. Nothing personal at all. The good of all and for common good. And anybody who's ready to buy into that, we are ready to work with, regardless of who they are and what their past was. We just want the good of all and the common good. And there's more than enough for everyone in Nigeria, more than enough for all our needs, but maybe not enough for all our greeds. God will help us in Jesus'
Thank you, sir.
name. Thank you so much. God, look forward to meeting her and the children and to just hug them and thank them for allowing you to be such a great sacrifice. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. God bless you all. God be with you. own labor to not be in vain in wherever you are making those labors. And God help Nigeria in Jesus' name. God bless you.
Amen.
Fire, please turn off YouTube.
Over to you, Jumoke.
Thank you. Fire, please go ahead and turn off the YouTube.
We're done.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, I will do that.
Thank you.